طيب بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رجعنا لكم شباب. طبعا ان شاء الله راح ناخذ مع بعض اللي هو دورة سنترا هذه، وراح نغطي ان شاء الله اللي هو ال pre intermediate. بداية ان شاء الله راح نبدأ من unit 3. طبعا مشاركتكم ضرورية جدا في حيث انه اذا في عندك مشكلة في نقطة معينة في قاعدة معينة ممكن تستفسر على طول. راح نعطيكم الآن المايك. في حالة إذا أحد يبغى يستفسر ممكن تضغط على الآيكون اللي هو على اليد، وبعدها ممكن نسمح لك بأنك تشارك معنا هنا مباشرة. Okay. So inshallah now we're going to start with unit 3. It all went wrong. So this is the title of the screen. It all went wrong. In this unit we're going to learn about the past tenses, word formation, time expressions. So now let's go to the first one, the starter. Here are the past tense forms of some irregular verbs. Write the infinitive. So here we have the verbs like were, saw, went, told, said, had, took, gave, got, could, made, did, and they're all in the past tense. We need to find the infinitives of these verbs. For example, the infinitive form of were is what? It's are. Okay, it's on page 22. Page 22. Okay. What about saw? What is the infinitive form of saw? It is see. See, so the past is saw. What about went? It's go. Yeah, by the way, we're reading from the New Headway Plus Special Edition, the pre-intermediate. Okay. What about told? What is the infinitive form of told? It is tell, yes. Said, it's say, okay. Had, it could be, yes, had. Okay, very good. Now let's move on and talk a little bit about the past simple. Okay, but first listen to the this passage and read along with the listening part. So you have to listen and read at the same time.
Unit 3, Tape Script 3.1. Formula One Taxi. When taxi driver Tunça Yilmaz had 7-time Formula One champion Michael Schumacher and his family as passengers, he was very excited. He picked them up from the airport and took them to the city of Coburg in Bavaria, Germany. But that was nothing. The real excitement came on the return trip to the airport. The Schumachers were late for their plane, and Michael Schumacher very politely asked to take the wheel of the taxi. He gave Yilmaz a €100 tip on top of the €60 fare and got in the driver's seat himself. They set off along the German Autobahn, where there are no speed limits at all. I found myself a passenger, which was strange enough, said Yilmaz, but having Schumi behind the wheel was incredible. He drove at full speed round the corners and overtook in some incredible places. They arrived at the airport in record time, and the family caught their plane. It was the coolest drive of my life, and the fastest, said Yilmaz. It was the best thing that ever happened. Mr. Yilmaz is now planning to sell his taxi. One man offered him 63,000 euro for it, but he thinks he can get more. I need the money, he said. Because of the Shumi ride, I could be in big trouble with the police. And that isn't because of speeding. It's because he let Schumacher drive a taxi without a taxi driver's license.
Okay, so as we can see here, Mr. Yilmaz is talking about his experience with the Schumachers, and it's all described in the past. So now let's take a look at the verbs here, and these are all irregular verbs that have been used in the passage. So what is the past of have? For example, have, had. Take, took. Ask, asked. Give, gave. Okay. Get, got. Find, found. Okay. Now, listen to some of the incorrect sentences about the story. Correct them using negative sentences, then listen and repeat.
Tape script 3.2. 1.
Mr. Yilmaz took the Schumacher family to Berlin.
2.
Schumacher gave Mr. Yilmaz a 60 euro tip.
3.
They drove along small country roads.
4.
Schumacher drove very slowly.
5.
The Schumachers missed their plane.
6.
A man offered Mr. Yilmaz 30,000 euro for his taxi.
So as you can see, there are some, they're mostly incorrect, and we have to correct them. Like, for example, when she said that Mr. Yilmaz got 60 euros as a tip, we can see that from the passage that he got 100 euros tip. So he didn't get that, he got 100 euros. Okay. I will give you a chance to answer. It's just our schedule is a little bit tight, so we have to cover today 2 units, and we'll try to give you a chance as much as possible. Now let's go to the grammar spot. We're going to talk here about the verbs, okay, that's been used in the article. And it's very easy. You have to write the simple tense of the past. Like, for example, ask, asked, show, showed, want, wanted. You see, we added only the ed at the end. Okay, this is the first group. Okay. In the second group here, group B, for example, we have try and carry. You know how to put them in the past tense. Try, how to write try in the past tense. Yes, we have to remove the Y and replace it with I-E, okay, D. Carry, the same, carried. So in this case, we have to use the IED. Very good. What about the third group, C? Like, liked. Okay. Believe, believed. Use, used. the way we pronounce the d at the end is pronounced t, ta sound. So like, liked, believe, believed, use, used. So moving on to the next group, stop, stopped, plan, planned. And here we have to add an extra letter, yes, as you wrote, and then add the ed. Okay, so you have to double the last letter, plan, planned, and then add the ed at the end. All right. Now let's listen together and repeat.
Tape script 3.3. Asked. Showed. Wanted. Walked. Started. Tried. Carried. Liked. Believed. Used. Stopped. Planned.
Okay, moving on to number 3 here. How is the regular past tense formed? It's easy. It's formed by adding the ed. Okay. How is the past tense formed when the verb ends in a constant y? A constant y. So if we have a consonant, like for example the y, which is a consonant, we add it simply by removing the y and adding the ied. Yes, that's a good question. Play. How do you form play? Okay. Let's take this here. So for example, we have the word play. Simply, we just add ed, played. And the reason here is because if you look at the word play, okay, you see that it has a vowel before the y. Play. There is a vowel here. So then we just add the ed. Okay? When do we double the final consonant? When do we double it? You know when? Okay. We double the consonant, okay, if we have, for example, this formation, C, V, C. You have to look at the last 3 letters of the word, okay, and they have to be in this formation. For example, let's take a look at the word stop. Take a look at the 3 letters at the end. T. T is a consonant, okay, and then O, which is a vowel, and then there's a consonant. So if you look, if they have this formation, which is CVC, then simply you just double the last letter and then add an ED at the end. Okay? So much like the word plan, L-A-N, C-V-C, consonant, vowel, consonant. That's actually interesting. What about the word show? That's a different story. Simply because if you look at the H at the end, you can't just say, S how. It's used with the S to form the sound of sha. So if you look at it phonetically, it's not simply, writing it as S-H-O-W. You're looking at the sound they make, which in this case, sha, show. Okay? And also in this case, because it's very soft, it's not going to affect your pronunciation. Let's say, for example, that, okay, let me just grab this here. You're going to write the word stop, okay, like this. So this is how we usually write it in the past form, which is we double the last letter and then add the ed. In this case, it's stopped, okay? If we are to put it like this, and we only add the ed, then we're going to pronounce it stopped, not stopped. The same case if we go to plan. This is planned, and in this case it's planed. So that's a totally different story. So because in this case, if we say, for example, show, it's very soft. It's not going to affect our pronunciation when we put the ed at the end. That's why it's okay to add the ed at the end. Okay? Fantastic. Okay. So you may refer to the list of the irregular verbs at the end of the book, which is on page 143. Now we're going to practice making connections between opposites. We have to match the verb phrase that makes sentences using both. In this case, we have just to match the verb phrase. For example, I broke a cup, but I mended it with glue. So there are situations that we have to connect together. Let's go to the second one. I feel ill. Which one should we connect it to? I feel ill. Maybe go to bed. Okay. I make a sandwich, but okay. When I'm hungry. I make a sandwich when I'm hungry. I have a shower. Wash my hair. Okay. Very good. Call the police. Call the police. When I hear a strange noise. Okay. Lose my passport. Find it. run out of coffee, buy some more. Forget to call him, say sorry. Phone ring, answer it. Tell a joke, laugh. Okay, so in this exercise, after we have connected all the phrases together, now we have to use it in the past tense. For example, I felt ill and I went to bed. Okay. I made a sandwich when I was hungry. Okay? Let's go to the third one. Have a shower, wash my hair. How do you say it in the past tense? Yes. Rahman, would like to answer over the mic.
I had the shower to wash my hair.
Okay. Yeah, you may say I had a shower and I washed my hair. Hammam, I'm not quite sure what you mean. When wanted in here? Quite not sure. Okay. Let's go to the last one. Tell a joke and laugh. You have to use them in the past tense. So what do you think? You can say, I told a joke and my friends laughed. Just an example. Now let's go and listen and compare our answers.
TED script 3.4. 1.
I broke a cup, but I mended it with glue.
2.
I felt ill, so I went to bed.
3.
I made a sandwich because I was hungry.
4.
I had a shower and washed my hair.
5.
I lost my passport, but then I found it at the back of a drawer.
6.
I called the police because I heard a strange noise.
7.
I ran out of coffee, so I bought some more.
8.
I forgot to call him, so I said sorry.
9.
The phone rang, so I answered it.
10. I told a joke, but nobody laughed.
Moving on to the next section, talking about you. Ask and answer these questions with a partner. Make more questions using the past simple. Okay. So it's very, very straightforward. You can say like, what did you do last night? You might say, I watched TV last night. I went swimming last weekend. Okay. I read a book yesterday. So you may use any form you want. Yes, I played video games last night, and so on. Right. Priming the library. Now we're going to talk about the past simple and the continuous. So we have the past simple and the past continuous. Check the meaning of these verbs. What are the past forms? Which two are regular? Okay, regular meaning that you can just simply add the ed at the end. So let's take a look at the verbs and see the past forms of them. Hide. Hide. That's interesting. Hide. The past is not hided, it's hid. Hid. Okay? The past form of hide is hid. What about find? Found. Yes. Visit. Visited. So this one is regular. Okay, one down, one more to go. Steal. Stole. Yes. Cut. Cut. Spend. Spent. Think. Thought. Notice. Noticed. So we have only these two regular verbs. Okay. Number 2, read the newspaper story. Complete 1 to 8 in the story with the past form of the verbs in exercise 1. So we have to go and read the newspaper story here and answer with the words from this box. Okay. Now let's read it. So Joseph Beck loved books. For 8 years, he regularly... Yes, we have to read it. So it's very simple. You read it and then you write the answer along with the number of the question. For example, number 1, the answer is visited. Okay, so you just write number 1, visited. All right, did you finish reading? Okay, you may check now the answers here quickly. Visited, thought, cut, hid, noticed, found, stole, spent. Great. Moving on to the grammar and pronunciation. What tense are the verb forms in exercise 4? Okay, exercise 4. What are the forms? Are they in the past in this exercise? Okay. For example, was doing important research. He was living in Manhattan. Several pages were missing. Okay, security cameras were looking. Where he was making. Okay. So we're going to talk here about a new tense. It's in the past. But is it in the past simple or the past continuous or progressive? So in this exercise here, the ones written in bold or underlined now are all in the past continuous, which is we're talking about an ongoing action in the past. Okay, he was doing, so that's about the past, but it was continuous for a while. He was living. Okay, pages were missing. Now we're going to focus on the pronunciation. So we have to take into notice in that the pronunciation of was and were varies. For example, I don't say was, I say was. He was living. He was doing. They were. Yeah, I don't say where. They were looking. They were missing. Now listen and repeat.
Tape script 3.6.
He was living. He was doing. They were looking. They were missing.
So how do you form the question and negative of these sentences? How do I form the question? He was living. The question is, was he living? What about the negative? He was living. The negative is, he wasn't living. Okay. So it's very, very simple. Was he living in Manhattan? Okay, so it's very easy. We just switch them around. He was becomes was he. The cameras were the cameras. So we just replace the first and the second words to make the question. To make the negative, we just use the not. So he was living, he wasn't living. He was looking, he wasn't looking. They were missing, they weren't missing. Okay. Now let's move on to page 28. There are two ways of saying dates. What are they? If you want to say the dates, how do you say the dates? You can start, for example, by the day as a number, okay, like 8/1/98. You can say 8th, okay, of January 1998. So there are different ways of saying the dates. Now listen and check.
Tape script 3.10.
The 8th of January 1998. January the 8th, 1998. The 16th of July, 1985. July the 16th, 1985. The 25th of November, 2002. November the 25th, 2002.
Okay, now look at the first one here. These are written using the British English. Okay, so they start with the day first. First the day, and then the month, and then the year. If you look at the American English, they start with the month first. So the month, then the day, and then the year. So for example, the 8th of January 1998. In American English, it's going to be January 8th, 1998. Okay? So it's very simple. So far, so good? Any questions so far? Okay. Let's move on to Unit 4. Let's go shopping. And in this unit, we're going to talk about much, many, some, any, a few, a little, a lot, of. The articles, shopping, and prices. For starters, we're going to play the alphabet game with things you can buy. But since we're running out of time, I don't think we'll be able to do this today. But you can practice this at home once we're done. Now, let's read and listen to the conversation.
Unit 4. Tape script 4.1. It says here, milk. How much milk do we need? 2 liters. And eggs? How many eggs? A dozen. And what about potatoes? How many potatoes? A kilo's enough. And butter? How much? Just 1 packet.
So that takes us to the grammar spot of this page here, which when we talk about things, okay, and we try to count them, what words that we use when we count them? For example, when you say, for example, milk, can we count milk? Can we say just, 1 milk, 2 milks? Is it possible? No. Why? Because they are uncountable. We can't just, go and count them because they're liquids. Okay? They have to be in a special container. So we can count the container, but not the actual material. What about the eggs? I think it's obvious that we say, 1 egg, 2 eggs, 3 eggs. That's pretty easy. What about water? Can we count them? Can we say, 1 water, 2 waters? Yes, it's pretty much like milk. What about, let's see, tomatoes or tomatoes? Is it possible to count? Yes, it's possible to count them. 1 tomato, 2 tomatoes. Okay. So if you wanna ask someone about the quantity of the things we're gonna buy, if I'm going to the supermarket, I want to buy some things, but then I forgot, then I have to call, for example, my wife and ask her, to ask her how many milk do you want, or how much milk do you need? What do you think? Is it how much or how many? How much milk? Yes. So we just say how much milk. How much water do you need? How much bread? How much butter? And then we can use the units. For example, 2 liters of milk. Okay. 3 liters of water. In the case of butter, you can say 1 packet of butter. What about tomatoes? Do I say how much or how many? Yes, we can say, a bottle of milk. In the case of tomatoes, we can say, how many tomatoes. Okay, we're gonna need 2 tomatoes, 3 tomatoes. Sometimes you can use also the unit for weighing the tomatoes. For example, 2 kilos of tomato. Now let's go to the next grammar spot, which here we're going to talk about the countable nouns, okay, and the uncount nouns in the conversation. Just tick the ones we use. For example, if we are going to use some, is it possible to use it with countables? Yes. Uncountables? Yes. In positive sentences? Yes. In questions? Sometimes. In negative? No. What about any? Is it possible with the countables? Yes. Is it possible with the uncountables? Yes. Is it in positive sentences? No. Is it in questions? Yes. Is it in negative? Yes. Very good. What about much? Can we use it with countables? No. Uncountables? Yes. In positive sentences? Yes. In questions? Yes. In negative? Okay, for this one, it could be. It is possible that we can use it in the negative. How much milk do you have? You can say, I don't have much, or there isn't much. So it is possible to use it. What about many? With countables? Yes. With uncountables? No. In positive? Yes. In questions? Yes. And in negative? It could be a lot or lots of. You can use it with countables, uncountables, in positive sentences, in questions, and in negative sentences. What about a few? A few. Is it possible to use with the countables? Yes. Is it possible to use from uncountables? You sure you can use with the uncountable? A few milk? Then it's no. In positive sentences? Yes. What about a little? Is it possible to use with the countable? No. Uncountable? Yes. In positive sentences? Yes. Now let's take a look at the forms of something, someone, etc. The rules are the same as for some and any. So, for example, I can say, something, someone, somebody, somewhere, anything, anyone, anybody, anywhere. It's very similar to some and any as a general rule. But here we're going to talk about general things. Okay. For example, there isn't anyone in the building. Or I can say, I can't find it anywhere. I can't find it anywhere. Okay. Could you give me an example using some and any plus one of these words? Thing, one, body, where? Just one example. You may just raise your hand, and if you raise your hand, you can join us. For example, I think Abdurrahman. Yes, go ahead.
Did anyone see my phone? Did anyone see my phone?
Very good. Okay. Is there anyone here? Also, that's a possible question. Okay. So far, so good? Any problems here? Okay. Fantastic. Let's move on to the next page. Okay. We want to ask about the quantity of something. We usually start by asking the question, how much, okay, or how many. For example, how many pens do you have? I have 4 pens, okay. How much milk do you have? I have like 1 liter or 1 glass of milk. So we use how much with the uncountable, and we use how many with the countables. We can also ask about the possibility of having something by asking the question, have you got any? Okay. For example, have you got any water in your apartment? You would say, yes, I do. Or no, I don't. Or the question, is there any? Or are there any? Is there any? Or are there any? For example, are there any doctors around? Yes, there are. No, there aren't. Next up, we're going to talk about the article. We have the definite article, the, and the indefinite article, a and an. Yeah, that's a good question. Is it possible to say, is there any eggs in the fridge, or are there any eggs in the fridge? Which one is better? Is there any eggs in the fridge, or are there any eggs in the fridge? So what do you think, Abdurrahman? Okay, maybe it's possible. It's possible. But as a general rule, if we're gonna use accountable in the plural form, it is always better to use, the plural form of the word. For example, if you're going to use eggs with any, it's better to say, are. Like, are there any eggs in the fridge? Since you're asking about the plural form of the word. Okay? Alright, now let's go back to the definite article, the, and the indefinite article, an. And as the example here, for example, a shopkeeper and the river Thames. We use the indefinite article, for example, a and an, when we talk about a singular or plural. What do you think? Since it's an article, an indefinite article, then we're going to use it when we talk about singulars. For example, a pen, okay, a book, a door, a car, a dinosaur, and so on. We can use also an with words that start with vowels. Okay, not necessarily a vowel, but a vowel sound. For example, an apple, okay, an orange, an envelope, an idea, an umbrella. Or we can use it with words that start with a consonant, but in this case, you can pronounce them, like, for example, an hour. Because we're going to take a look here and we see that it started with an H. That's why we said hour. It's pronounced hour. Okay, the H is silent. Also, we can say an olive. Very good. Okay. Sometimes we don't have to use the article. When we talk about something that is uncountable, I can't say, a meat or a bread, since it's uncountable. Also, we cannot use the indefinite, okay, and the definite articles when we talk about names, proper names. Like, for example, Oxford. I can't just go and say, the Oxford or an Oxford. No, because it's a proper name. I can't say, for example, the King Abdulaziz University. No, it's a proper name. I can't say, for example, the Jeddah, the Saudi Arabia, or a Saudi Arabia. No. Why? Because it's a proper name. So if we have a proper name, that means, the name starts with a capital letter, then we cannot use any of the articles. But otherwise, we may use them, like, a pen, that teacher's pen, and so on. Okay. Let's go. Let's go and practice this area here. Discussion of grammar. Let's go ahead and find the mistakes together. Okay. Let's read it together. And parents find one mistake in each sentence. If you have found the mistake, just raise your hand, and then you can proceed with the mic. He's postman, so he has breakfast at 4 a.m. Where is the mistake? If you know the answer, you may raise your hand. Yes, go ahead, Abdurrahman. I'm not sure, is that your first name, Abdurrahman?
Yes, it is.
Okay, go ahead.
It's supposed to be he is.
Okay.
So it's he is a postman.
Yes, very good. So the mistake here is between he's and postman. There's supposed to be an article, right? Okay. So we should add the article here, which is which article? Very good. So we should add as an article. Let's go to the second sentence. The love is more important than money. The love is more important than money. Do you know the answer to this one? Yes, Ammar. Okay, and Abdurrahman. Just take this word out, that. We don't need it because we can't count it. It's uncountable. You can just say, one love, two love, three loves. No, it's uncountable. So love is more important than money because it's an emotion. It's a feeling. Number 3. I come to the school by bus. Where is the mistake here? Yes. I come to school by bus. Number 4. I'm reading one good book at the moment. Is it at the moment? What do you think, guys? I'm reading one good book at the moment. Yes, go ahead.
I'm reading a good book at the moment.
Exactly. You don't have to say one. You can just say I'm reading a good book at the moment. Number 5. Where's Jack? In a kitchen. Very good, Akram. We say in the kitchen. I live in center of town near the hospital. I live in center of town near the hospital. The. Yes, here we should add the center. Number 7. My parents bought the lovely house in the country. So we remove that. It should be a lovely house. Number 8. I don't eat the bread because I don't like it. Very good. So we should just remove that. I don't eat bread. I don't eat bread. Because bread is uncountable. We can't count it. Say 1 bread, 2 bread. We can say a loaf of bread or a slice of bread. But as a whole, we cannot count it. Okay. Okay. Now let's move on to Unit 5. Do you have any questions about Unit 4? Yes, Hammam? Do you have a question, Hammam? Okay, because you raised your hand. No problem. Now let's go to Unit 5. The title of Unit, what do you want to do? And in this unit, we're going to talk about the verb patterns, the future forms, the hot verbs, and how do you feel. All right. So first off, for example, if we're going to talk about the future form, we're going to talk probably about our plans in the future, as we're going to see very soon. Okay. Now, complete the sentences with the words go abroad. Put the verb go in the correct form. Now let's read it together. If you know the answer, you may raise your hand and go ahead and participate with us. Okay. I want to go abroad. The next one. I'd like Is it I'd like to go abroad or I'd like to going abroad? I'd like to go abroad. Next, I can't. Is it go abroad or going abroad? Or I can't to go. So the next one is I can't go abroad. What about the next one? I'm looking forward to. Is it I'm looking forward to go abroad or going abroad? This is a tough one. It's tricky very tricky. When we say, I'm looking forward to, we should always use an ing verb, ing. Okay, I'm looking forward to going abroad. I'm looking forward to meeting you. I'm looking forward to watching the movie, and so on. Okay, so this one here, because we have a future hope or wish. Okay. Next, I hope. Is it I hope to go abroad or I hope to going abroad? I hope to go abroad. And the next one, I enjoy that I enjoy go abroad, to go abroad, or going abroad. Yes, I enjoy going abroad. I enjoy watching television. I enjoy playing video games, and so on. Okay. Next one. So in this one also we have to use the ing verb. I'm thinking of. Yes, I'm thinking of going abroad. I'm thinking of going abroad. And the last one, I'd love to go abroad. Let's go now to number 2. What's the difference between these sentences? I like going to the library, or I'd like to go to the library today. What's the difference between these two sentences? Is there a difference? What is the difference? Yes, Ammar. Okay. When we talk about the first one, we usually talk about, habits, okay, or something that we enjoy on a regular basis. Okay, on a regular basis. For example, I like going to the library. Okay, I like watching television. So we're talking about something in general, on a regular basis. Okay, I like playing video games. I like walking alone, and so on. The second one is about what? Is it about something that you like, or is it about a plan in the future? So for the second one, you're expressing a wish. Okay. Sometimes it's not a wish. Sometimes it's a plan in the future. Like the example said here, I'd like to go to the library today. So there's an expression of a plan. He's going to do something in the future. In this case, it's going to the library. I'd like to go to the library today. Could you give me 2 examples using I like going to the library and I'd like to go to the library today? Just 2 quick examples. So what do you think? Okay. I like driving to school. Okay. So that's something Abdurrahman does on a regular basis that he likes. I like driving to school. That means he enjoys driving to school. Okay. What about the second one? I'd like having a bus here. Okay, that's different, Abdurrahman. When you say I'd like, okay, you have to look at the form here. If you look carefully here, I'd like to. The verb here is in the infinitive form. It's in the infinitive form. So you have to use, the way it is presented. So I'd like to, you must have a plan. I'd like to travel to the Dammam. Okay. I'd like to have a pizza today. And so on. Okay, is it clear now? Any problems here so far? Okay. Now let's go and talk about the future intentions, going to and will. Let's go to and match the pictures and the sentences. They're going to see a football match. They're going to see a football match. Which one? Do you know which one? Is it A, B, C, D, E? Yes, the answer is E. Look, they're wearing their fancy hats and the scarves to go and support their team. So the first one is E. Number 2, I'll pick it up for you. Is it A, B, C, D, E, or F? It's F. Okay. Number 3. Yes, he's going to visit someone in Malaysia. It's B. Number 4. It's okay. I'll answer it. It's A. Number 5. Don't worry, I'll lend you some. C. Number 6. We're going to have a meal in town. Of course, it's going to be D. So we can use going to and will. Okay. Basically, when we talk about future events. Okay. It all depends on when we want to use it. For example, they're going to watch the football match. So it could be something that is very soon, or that they're planning to do now, and they are acting on that plan. Next up, we're going to talk about the forms of will, which is if we want to shorten I will, then it's going to be I'll. This is called the contraction. Okay, so I will becomes I'll. I want, which is the negative form, is I will not. I will not. Now let's go on to page 44. And here we're going to talk about hot verbs. Hot verbs. Collocations with have, go, and come. There are certain words that go with these verbs. For example, have. I have classes in the evening. I had an opportunity to do something. Go. I'm going to school. Or going to school can be impossible. I can't go abroad. Come. Okay. A good education comes first, or come to school. Now we're going to see that these verbs, they go sometimes with certain words. So now let's take a look at the exercise number 2, and we have to use have, go, or come. Let's start with number 1. An accident. Does it have an accident, go an accident, or come an accident? Yes. So you can say, I had an accident. Okay. If someone was driving their car and they had an accident, they can call their friend and say, oh, look, I had an accident. So this is number 1. Number 2, if someone was in a race and they finished the race, do we say they have first, or they go first, or they come first? Okay, so he came first or second, he came last in a race. So the second one we use come. Come, and then the order or the ordinal number, which is first, second, third, last. Number 3, out for a meal. Yes, I'm going out for a meal. Or my friend is going out for a meal. Number 4, see me and see me. Is it go and see me, or have and see me, or come and see me? Come and see me. Yes. Shopping. Do you have shopping? Do you go shopping, or do you come shopping? It is go shopping. Number 6, a cold. Have a cold. Wrong. Go wrong. A meeting. I have a meeting. A good time. Have a good time. True. True. Come true. Okay. It could come true. Believe in your dreams. They could come true. Yes, I wish it could come true. So far, so good? Now we're going to talk about Unit 6. And here we have, the title is Tell Me What It's Like. What's it like? We're going to talk about what something is like, question, the comparative and the superlative, synonyms and antonyms, and directions. Okay, let's start with the grammar spot here. First, we're going to read the questions, and we have to match the question and the answer. Okay. Do you like Paris? Do you like Paris? Okay. Yes, I do. Or, no, I don't. And then the second question is, what's Paris like? What's Paris like? You can say it's beautiful, or we can say, it's got lots of old buildings. Okay. The next question is, which question in number 1 means tell me about Paris? Yes. What's Paris like? What's Paris like? So I want you to tell me more. Tell me more. Tell me about it. Okay. For example, what's Jeddah like? I want you to tell me about Jeddah. I don't know, Ammar. Okay, that's an interesting answer, Abdurrahman. Let's take another city. What's Mecca like? That means I want you to tell me more. For example, it's crowded. Okay, it's a busy city. So you have to describe and tell me more about the city. Okay. Or sometimes you can use it with other things. For example, if I want to ask you about your car, what's your car like? So you're going to start describing and tell me more about your car. Okay, well, my car is blue. It has xenon headlights. It also has the state-of-the-art MP3 player and an MP4 player. It also has a sunroof and is equipped with a V8 engine. So that's just an example of how, yes, exactly, Abdurrahman. So you can just describe and tell me more about, the car. All right? Let's move on to the next grammar spot. Next up, we're going to talk about the comparative and the superlative. Comparative and superlative. Simply put, comparative when we compare between two things, and the superlative when we have to compare between more than two things, 3, 4, or on a nationwide or statewide. So let's take a look at the question here. What are the comparative and superlative forms of the following adjectives? What are the rules? So, looking at the group A, small, how do you make the comparative form? Okay. Smaller. For example, Dammam is smaller than Jeddah. Okay. And what is the superlative form? The smallest. If we try to put it in a sentence, we could say, for example, let me think of a city, or we could say, for example, that the bacteria is the smallest living. Yeah. Is it Qatar or Bahrain? I think Bahrain is smaller than Qatar. So Bahrain is the smallest Gulf country. Bahrain is the smallest Gulf country. Cold. Okay. Colder. This is the comparative. Colder, and the superlative. Coldest. Yes. So, what about near? The comparative? What about the comparative? Near, nearer. And the superlative? Nearest. Okay, yes. So in the first group, Group A, it's very simple. We just add the E, okay, R, or the EST. Let's take a look at Group B. Group B. Big, hot, and wet. Big. How do you make the comparative form? Bigger. So we have to double the last letter. So we add another G. Okay. Bigger. What about hot? Hotter. And the superlative form, which is what is the superlative form? Hottest. Okay. Wet. Yes, hot test. So wet, wetter, wettest. So in this here, we just double the last letter and then add the ER or the EST. Because if you remember, here we have a consonant, a vowel, and then a consonant. Okay, that's why we have to double the last letter. Okay, next group, C. Busy, noisy, dry. Busy. How do we make it in the comparative form? Busy. We say busier. So we remove the Y and then add the I-E-R. Noisy. Noisier. Same. So we just drop the Y and then add the I-E-R. Dry. The same. For example, dry, drier, driest. Okay. Drier, driest. And the last group here we have, which is beautiful, interesting, exciting. We say, do you say beautifuler or more beautiful? Yes, we use more beautiful. Because in this case, we have more than more than 2 syllables. It's a long word, so 3 syllables here. Beau, that's 1 syllable. T, that's second. Full, beautiful, 3 syllables, means stops, 3 stops. Interesting, interesting, 3 syllables. Exciting, exciting, 3 syllables. So we say more beautiful. Okay. Jeddah is more beautiful than Yanbu, for example. Football is more interesting than basketball. Car racing is more exciting than cycling, and so on. And in the superlative form, we use most. Okay. For example, Tokyo is the most expensive city. The most expensive. Mecca is the most beautiful city. Okay. Tennis is the most interesting sport, and so on. Okay. Then we want to talk about the irregular. Irregular adjective means that they change. They change. These are all irregular. Okay. Like far. How do you make the comparative form of far? Is it farer? No. How do you make it? If you know the answer, you can raise your hand and go ahead and answer. Yes. So how do you write it? The irregular, that means they have a special case. If we want to use it in the comparative and superlative form, okay, like far, good, and bad. These are special cases, meaning that I'll give you an example, and then you can get from the example what I'm getting at. For example, good. If I want to give the comparative form of good, for example, I have orange and apples. I want to say that orange is good and apples are good, but I like oranges more. So I can say, you know, orange is better, or oranges are better than apples. Okay. And if I like oranges more than the other fruits, I could say oranges are the best fruits. Okay. So what about far? Far? Yeah, we could say further or farther. Farthest or furthest. Yes. Further, furthest, farther, farthest. Yes. What about bad? Bad, worse, worse. Okay, bad, worse, the worst, the worst. Okay. Let's go on to the next point. Here we're going to talk about the adjective also combined with as and as. Okay, for example, as hot as good as beautiful as, and so on. For example, Melbourne isn't as cosmopolitan as Chicago. I can say, for example, Abha is not as busy as Mecca. So I want to give an example of a shared quality, which is in this case, being cosmopolitan or being busy. Okay. If I want to talk about something similar, I can use it. Let's take the city of Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, and take also Jeddah. I want to talk about similar qualities, which in this case is heat. So I can say Jeddah is as hot as Rio de Janeiro. Cosmopolitan. Cosmopolitan means it's a big city of many people from many ethnicities. So that means it's like Jeddah. Jeddah is cosmopolitan. There are lots of people from all over the world. Okay, a cosmopolitan city, for example, like New York, you have a lot of people from different parts of the world. You can say also that Mecca is a cosmopolitan to some extent. Yeah, it could be that it has a lot of immigrants. That's one part, and also it has different cultures. So it's not only about the immigrants; it's about the cultures. Okay, you can have a lot of immigrants, but if there is no culture being displayed, like for example, there are no international restaurants, you cannot say that it's cosmopolitan. So you must have places that represent the cultures. Okay. All right. So can you give me an example using as and as, and then you have to choose an adjective? Just try to compare. I can say, for example, that the Challenger is as powerful as the Camaro. That's one example. Well, maybe, Abdurrahman, but if you have a special chip, maybe it will go fast. Yes, Etihad is as good as Al Hilal. That's a very good example. So far, so good? No problems here? Okay. Do you guys have any questions before we wrap it up? Okay, the last point we're going to talk about before we finish this session is the synonyms and the antonyms. Okay, synonyms meaning that words sharing the similar or the same meaning. For example, here in this, it's a lovely day today. Lovely means beautiful. Okay, lovely, beautiful. So these are called synonyms. Synonyms. Okay. Also, gorgeous also means beautiful, very beautiful. What about antonyms? Antonyms means, we're talking about the opposites in this case. For example, here we have the word awful and the word nice. If we take a look here at the example, okay. Interested, I'm interested. Bored, horrible, you could say nice, fantastic, amazing. Old, young. Poor, rich or wealthy. Tidy, messy, or untidy. So these are called the antonyms, and as we said before, the synonyms are words with similar meaning. Okay. Mary's family is very rich. So in this case, rich. What is the synonym of rich? It's wealthy. Okay. Look at all these new buildings. New buildings. New, you can say, modern, and so on. Okay. Okay, guys, do you have any questions? Any questions? So, inshallah, for our next meeting, inshallah, we're going to start with Unit 7, and we're going to have Unit 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay? So, if you have any questions, you may prepare them and bring them with you for the next session. Not a problem. So until we meet again, inshallah, I wish you the very best, and enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye.